In today's tutorial, we'll be talking about HTML forms. Of course, as students, you must have filled one form or the other on your web page. Okay, so how do you generate this form yourself using the HTML code? How do you do it? That's what we're going to be talking about now. So HTML forms are actually used in collecting user inputs. You use HTML form to submit details about yourself, other people's questions, or some things that are regarded for you to fill online. So forms are essential because they help the web pages to interact, thereby enabling the users to enter data of themselves, of products, of their needs, such as text, emails, password, select options, and others. So how do you design this form as a web developer? That's what we want to look at now. So let's quickly look at the basic structure of an HTML form. You know that the form element is created using the form tag. Okay, so let's come. For you to design a form, right, the first thing you want to do is to bring out the form tag. Okay, remember that in HTML, everything is done using tags. So you want to design a form tag. What's the first thing you do? You need to call the form tag in HTML. Alright? So once you do that, if you're going to use it on a web browser, the web browser automatically knows that what you intend doing or what you want to do at this point in time is to work on a form. Okay? So you have to call the form. And after calling the form, inside the form, you now start bringing in other tags that goes along or works with the form tag. So once you're bringing in the form tag, another very vital tag that you must use with the form tag is what we call the input tag. It is from this input tag that you now start defining what kind of detail you want to collect, okay, about the user that is using the web page. You will be seeing how this is done as we go on in the class. So quickly, let's talk about the key attributes. Remember, we talked about attributes as characteristics. Okay, we talked about attributes as giving more details about a particular element. So when we talk about the tag attributes, what are these tag attributes that we're talking about? Very key tag attributes. Okay, number one is what we call the action. The action attributes. This action attribute specifies where the form data is sent to. Okay, and then, okay, for example, when you say action, you're saying what kind of action do you want to perform on that tag, on that form. Okay, the entire form. After filling the form, okay, you need to put an attribute to tell the form this is what you want to do. Okay, what kind of action do you want to perform? Of course, you're saying that you want to send this form somewhere. Alright, so in sending the form somewhere, you must specify the URL where you are sending the form to. So for example, if you are using an action, then you need to specify. So you need to do something like this. So let's say we have a particular place that we call submit form. Okay, so for example, if you're going to have this submit form, okay, that means you must have created this page, right, within your development, within your software, or within your server. So that once the submit button is clicked, alright, whatever thing you have filled in that form automatically goes into this page. Right, so that's what the action attribute does. The second one we want to quickly look at is what we call the method attribute. So what does this method attribute? This one specifies how the form data is sent. Okay, so for example, if you say what is the method you want to use in solving this equation. So the method, some students may choose to use what we call the equation method, some may use what we call the almighty formula method, and the like. So method, or you say, okay, what method do you want to use in maybe say building this particular structure? Alright, so you are looking at, okay, I want to use so and so method, or I want to use this person, I want to use this company, I want to use other company. So the method, same thing when you talk about methods in HTML. Okay, it specifies how the form is to be sent. Okay. Then we're not talking about method. So it is either you want to get, okay, you want to use the get, or you want to use the post. So when you say get, for example, okay, so what you're doing is that you send that data via the URL, okay, that is visible in the address bar. Okay, the address bar which is visible the URL which is visible on the address bar, you want to send that form via that address bar that is appearing on your, you want to send it through the URL that is appearing on the address bar. Okay, when you now use posts, okay, so what you're doing is that you're sending data as part of the request body. The request body, which is, in this case, it is even more secured and is preferred for sensitive information like password. We'll be talking about this so that you understand. So let's not go outside what we are dealing with now. Okay, when we start building forms and then want to submit the form, we'll be making use of these two methods, either a get or a post. So but just know that when you say get, okay, it is actually like saying that you are making visible the address, the URL on the address bar. People know that, okay, this is where this particular thing is going to. Okay, so it is visible. But when you make use of the post, in this case, the where it is going is hidden. Right? So you get to understand this in the coming tutorial. So now let's look at the common form elements. Many of us, like I said, you must have filled one or two forms and you have seen the various things that you do in the form. So let's look at some of them. The first one we want to look at is what we call the text input. Okay, now understand that when you are making use of the form element, it is very important to know that you actually use the input tag along with the form element. Okay, but the attribute within the input tag called type is what will now differentiate the kind of input that you want to make on that form. So, for example, this first one that we have written, input. So we now say, okay, the type of this input should be text. Okay, should be text. So a basic single line text is what will be imputed in this. So if you look at this, for example, you can add anything called text. Okay, anything called text. Anything called text can be added here. Okay, so it allows both for text, both for number, both for symbol, both for anything. Okay, but those of us who make use of Excel very well, you remember that sometimes when you want to format your cell, okay, the moment you format as text, then you have opened up that particular cell to accept anything, whether text, whether number, whether alphanumeric, whatever. Okay, the moment you are formatting that cell using text, you have actually opened it up for anything to come in there. So this is what this actually does. Alright. So that's for that. Then number 2 is what we call the password input. So the password input, of course, when you use password, you mark the user inputs to protect sensitive data. So for example, if I say what type of input do I want to have in this form, so if I say password, so look at what happens now. So if I say I want it to be passworded, so look at what happens. So it automatically marks whatever input you are putting in there becomes hidden. Alright. So number 3, we have when you want to make use of your email, you want to input email. Okay. So all you just need to do is to say what type is an email. Okay. So if you enter anything that is not email structured, there's going to be an error. Alright. So for example, if I say this and then if I leave it, okay, normally it will flag an error. So until you put the number at whatever.com, then you're going to have, so that is for that email. Number 4 is what we call the radio button. So when you use the radio button, it allows the user to select one option from the set. So if, for example, I say I want this to be radio, so look at it, what happens. Okay. So say, let me add this label. Say, so let's say I see gender, for example. Okay. So if I put this as gender, and then I put a name here, and I say this is a email. Okay. Now, instead of saying let's say value. So I put label here now. So I say mail. Okay. And if I copy this, and then I call this one female. So it allows us to choose. Okay. It allows us to choose in between sets. Next is what we call checkbox. So if I say this, I want this to be checkbox. Okay, and I want this also to be checkbox. So you can see what happens there. And we have what we call button. So let me change this now. I put input, and then I say let this one be button.